Hi, hello, and welcome to I Outsed How Much of an Edgelord I Was in Middle School. Cringe culture may be dead, but I most certainly am not. So let's get this train wreck a-rollin'. So yeah, I did steal this idea from Periwinky. However, I do enjoy talking about my OCs, and I don't think I've done that enough on this channel. In fact, I don't think I've done that at all on this channel. So some brief context, I started writing this story in 2013. It was a different time. I read a lot of dystopian future books. It was the height of the Hunger Games, and I was reading just every trashy book I could, and I was watching just about every anime I heard of. So yeah, the gist of the story is anime tropes galore and dystopian future being stitched together in the worst way possible. One of the main influences at the time was I had just read Legend by Mary Lou, which I will admit is still a very good book, and I was watching Ouran High School Host Club, which I don't remember most of, honestly. It was a bit of a blur. So I somehow decided I would stitch together some of the tropes from both of these, and it kind of didn't work. So the story starts, and it is the future. And she just sees her parents get murdered. And she's about 7, she's hiding in an air duct, and she somehow gets her arm chopped off. Either by the assassin who feels bad and he wants to cover up the fact that he doesn't want to murder a 7-year-old, so he goes and he presents the arm to the people who paid him to do the murder. Or he actually wants her dead and he just chops off her arm while he's trying to chase her. And these two really depend on how angsty I'm feeling and how much of a sadistic jerk I'm being that week. So she goes to Murder Academy that her parents have paid for, which doesn't make sense. I mean, especially since it was the Murder Academy that had paid this dude to kill her and her parents, and the reason they were getting murdered was because they were very important inventors who had invented something that would change reality and the culture as everyone knew it. So yeah, she goes to murder school, and she has this important mechanical thing, and she's hiding it, and they don't know who she is because she has geniusly covered up her identity in a way that really only Miraculous Ladybug has gotten away with. She changes her hair slightly. And by slightly, I mean before it was a bit of a light brown, she bleached it to a blonde. Not even a platinum blonde, just a blonde. So she goes to Murder Academy, and they don't know who she is for a while, and she's about to fight this kid, who does not really have a name in this version. He was literally referred to in the text as Boy, written in wingdings. I have no excuse. I thought wingdings was an actual language. Yeah, the less on that, the better. We'll just call him Kyle, because that ended up being his name eventually. But rest assured, neither Kiely nor Kyle are future dystopian, disaster kind of title name things. They're perfectly fine, normal names, don't get me wrong, but they are not dystopian future names at all. Dystopian future names have 30,000 more vowels than they have any right to have. They're just names that look like someone vomited on. And that wasn't what I created. Instead, I just named them some really average names that I spelled a little differently. So she's about to fight in basically a glorified gym. It is basically wrestling class, but the end goal is to kill the person you're up against. And she's partnered up against Kyle. And this school knows she's a very good natural born killer. She's done so already a dozen times. And so they're like, oof, no, we don't want our boy dead, because I won't cover it now. I will have a separate video for his story, because oh boy, howdy. It's wild. It's wild. I do not know how to explain how wild it is. So they don't want him dead. So they're like, sorry, there is a mix-up. And so they just put her up against this big stocky dude. And so she kills the big stocky dude. That's about it. Just in one fell swoop, she kills the kid. And they realize, oh wait, this is the kid we wanted to murderize with her really important inventor parents. Even though she had like 3 electives in like freaking hacking and building. And so they're like, oh, this is the girl we wanted dead. Yo, what is she doing? So they're like, oh, wait, we should like probably kill her? We gotta kill her? Yeah, let's kill her. So they go and they get these kids who were friends with the stocky boy, and they're like, hey, you wanna like kill this 12-year-old for us? Like, we know you're all 17 and it's not much of a fight, but like, we wanna have like all 10 of you 17-year-olds fight against a 12-year-old? Cause like, that's lit, right? That's cool, right? And they're like, yes, I want to murder the 12-year-old. She killed my friend, even though she had to survive. I want to murder her. So they attack her in the hall, and everyone just kind of steps away. They're like, oh, I'm not involved. I'm not involved. Bye. Even though there are a couple of people around the edges going, fight, 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 knowing that a 12-year-old is about to die and eat gravel. Surprise, surprise though, 12-year-old lives, and she kills most of the 17-year-olds, except for like 2 or 3. And that's when the school's like, ooh, we have to come up with something better. So they go and they basically imply to her in like a really like dramatic, like she talks to the evil bad guy, no good principal dude, and he is like, I hate you, you suck, I can't believe you've done this. I can't believe you've done this. And he's like, I'm gonna get you to be murdered if you stay in this school, or at least I'm gonna make your life really suck. So she decides to run away, which is exactly what the headmaster wanted. So now he's like throwing a party, and he's like, all right, she's gonna escape tonight. And as she's escaping, he sends like 20 goons against her, including the 3 boys that lived from her fight before. She just murders them all. And the only repercussion is she loses her leggies. They're just gone, yeeted out of existence. Disintegrated? Mayhaps? I don't remember. But somehow she crawls her way over to a warehouse where some robots owned by her dead parents are hiding out. And they're like, oh no, the master's child is like McDying, you know? So we better like save her or whatever. So miraculously, regardless of blood loss, regardless of like gangrene or infection or anything, she survives. And they make her some car part limb socks from like the garbage heap they're living in. Because quite literally, their warehouse was hidden in like a freaking dump. So now she's doing contract murders because, well, I went to assassin school. What am I gonna do with my degree now? Might as well use it. So she gets this contract and she's told she's gotta kill this kid named Kyle. So she goes to a bar, despite being a 12-year-old, and she finds a stranger. He's like taller than her, he's blonde, he's got gray eyes, and she's like, huh, sounds vaguely like that description I was given of like this kid I've gotta like kill, but like, this guy's really chill and nice, I don't wanna kill him. Besides, he's probably not at all the guy I gotta kill. Besides, he said his name wasn't Kyle, so like, why would he lie to me, you know? Little does she know, he has a contract out to kill her, and he doesn't know who she is. And the school decided that they were going to go and have 2 12-year-olds fight. Because yeah, spoiler alert, surprise, surprise, they paid him to go and kill her. So basic rundown of this school's genius plan. They decide, oh, there are these really cool 2 inventors, and we're going to kill them. We're not going to try to invest in their work or convince them to work with us. We're just gonna kill them. Even though they're like innovators who have come up with like a bajillion of like the best inventions we've had in our most modern decade, we're going to kill them. And then we're going to kill their kid. Oh, the kid doesn't die? Okay, we're going to accept them into the school. Well, when they go up against our super important plot device boy, we're going to go and decide, hey, we're gonna let her leave the school, but first get her limbs chopped off. Lovingly, have her limbs chopped off. And then we're going to have these two have contract murders against them. Listen, I know they're 12, and they've just gone through assassin school, and they're really gullible and dumb, but like, we're not gonna explain to either of them what the other looks like. We're not gonna give them really good pictures or descriptions. We're just gonna be vague, give some nondescript descriptors of them, like, oh, about 5'7" to 5'9", somewhere in that range, with sort of brownish, sort of blondish hair, with blue to gray eyes, mayhaps? Yeah, so their plan is genius, and it goes swimmingly. So they become fast friends, like, very fast friends. Like, they meet at the bar, they're like, hey, I want to be your friend. Wow, me too. And then they're just best friends. That's it. They don't know who either is. They don't even know each other's names. They have given each other code names, and they're well aware that the other has given them a code name, but they're just cool with it, you know? And in one page, they're in love. So they go, and they're like really cool friendos, and at some point, Kiely is talking to Kyle, and she accidentally sorta kinda reveals that she's the person he has to kill. And he's freaking out because he's like, oh no, that's my best friend, and she's hot, and I want to hold her hand, but I don't want to kill her. Can I just, like, cuddle? Like, that'd be cool, right? Can we just cuddle instead of kill? And she's about to show him her tech thing that the school is after. But then she discovers, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, this is the fool I gotta murderize. So they just kind of stare at each other blankly for like a good page. Like, I remember writing dead silence, like, paragraphs of them just going, I imagine if this was an anime, it would just be like a good 3 minutes of dead silence as a still image of the two just shows of them going, Nani? So angst ensues, and they start fighting, and they're trying to kill each other. But they don't really, because they're guilting each other and themselves, like, I thought you liked me. I thought I liked you too. Oh, I like your hair. Like, really weird, like, they start, like, complimenting each other, but in, like, really stilted 12-year-old dialogue, like, your nail polish is cool, kind of writing. So then, they stop fighting, and they're just kind of crying. Not comforting each other, not apologizing. They're just sort of crying, awkwardly, to themselves, on their own little corners of this big old room. And rather than fake their deaths, or have an actual murder-suicide pact, or go after the academy that set them up, they decide to fling one another and each other to the opposite poles of the planet and just angst about how sad they are, and write really sad songs about how much they miss each other. And that's it. That's the entirety of the story. Technically, there's a bit more, but that's something for another day, because, like Marvel's Avengers, I decided I would link that to my other stories crudely. I will put emphasis on crudely, because it's bad. But during this period, I have two major designs for Kiely. The blonde version, where she's got all of the missing limbs, and she's wearing a popped collar shirt, and it's very dramatic, very anime, very much like, I stand on the edge of the street, and no one understands me, but, like, I saw a kitten and I cuddled it, and I'm, like, really dark, but I've got, like, a secret soft side. Then the second design is, I've gotten rid of the mechanical legs, but she still has a glove hand thing. It's been simplified because I'm very lazy, but now she has a bit of a trench coat instead because it was easier to draw. So yeah, the only real major differences are the mechanical limbs, but it really didn't change much of the story. In fact, I think the only thing that changed between the two was that now it made a bit more sense when she was nursing her wounds and had to go to these robots that were like, oh wow, you might die, but like only a little bit, you know? So aside from that, I think the only major difference was instead of bleaching her hair, she dyed it black, because again, really emo, really enjoying that anime, and I wanted to dye my hair black. I'm glad I didn't go through with it, and I just put in some like pink Sharpie in my hair. So at this point, only a couple small edits are made to the story. Time travel gets introduced, and at first it's a belt, but then I didn't want to draw the belt, so then it became a watch. But then I designed the character for the second design, the one with the black hair, and I gave the belt again, but it was like highly simplified, and it was just like a very simple thing, and it was something she had created from her parents' tech, and it was the thing the school was looking for. It kind of worked because something got reincorporated, whereas before I wasn't reincorporating anything. It was just plot twist, plot twist, plot twist, M. Night Shyamalan. For example, something I didn't bring up before, because it wasn't very important, was that the headmaster was a woman dressed up as a man. It didn't really add anything to the story. She wasn't trans or anything. She just was dressed up as a man for some reason because I thought it would be a good plot twist. That was it. I think I saw an anime do it one time, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Because then, when she's out doing things dressed up as a lady, they won't know she's the headmaster. The time travel thing kind of gets picked up and abandoned. Not much of anything's done with it. At one point, I do tell my best friend about the time travel idea, and she looks at it for 5 seconds, and she's like, this completely disintegrates your entire story. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, if she can time travel, wouldn't she be able to go and, like, save her parents? What if instead she just went back a minute and just helped herself in a fight if she needed? And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So that was what I went with instead. But eventually I got rid of time travel, and then there's like this weird decision I made. And this was only because around this time, J.K. Rowling posted something on Twitter. And this was before people were freaking out. This was before the whole wizards are pooing in the middle of the halls fiasco, before the redactions and like the rewrites of everything. This was just something she announced, and everyone freaked out about it. And they were like, oh my god, it's beautiful. I'm 12 and that's deep. She revealed that when Lily Potter got just Avada Kedavra, that she was that she was going to have another kid, and that it was like gonna be like revealed that like James was gonna ask Snape to be the godfather and that, and I was like, oh my god, that's beautiful. So I decided to write that just because I was playing trauma bingo. I would see something sad and angsty, and I was like, you know what, I want that in the story. So there's just a period where I'm not writing, and there's just a bunch of edgy art, which I've probably shown at the beginning, and that's about it. And then high school comes around, and I completely scrap everything. I scrap that design, and she's redone. Her color is more structured. She's got this thing. Her hair is brown with blonde highlights. She's got green eyes instead of blue or brown like in the previous 2 designs. She's got like a more mechanical hand. She still doesn't have the legs anymore because I was just like bashing on them for some reason. I like hated the idea of the mechanical legs. Spoiler alert, I returned to the mechanical legs, and she no longer has a mechanical arm. I was a coward, and I was absolutely wrong. Mechanical legs are cool. But all that's really written for this third story, basically, is she is now an assassin, and she kills people, and she looks down on society, and she hates how superficial everything is. She hates that the elite have, like, panes made of emeralds and diamonds, even though technically in this version she was born into the elite. So she does a murder, she's sad, and then all I've got written aside from that is she dies under the ice, and Kyle also dies trying to revenge her, and that's about it. That's all that version has. It's not good, it's terrible, it's bad, they just die, that's it. But hey, at least I wasn't a coward, and they actually died. At least there was some actual consequences to their really dumb decisions. So the third version, the final version, the one I'm still kind of tweaking, but I've got a couple ideas floating, is, yes, her parents did die, but they died a bit later. They died when she was 10, so she has like an actual attachment to them. Not to say 7-year-olds don't have attachments to their parents, it's just, it works better if she had a bit longer with her parents. And she has this watch from, like, kind of a remnant from before, except it isn't special. It is just her father's watch, but it doesn't fit her wrist because as the story is taking place, she's 12. It's 2 years since her parents' murder. She's still grieving. She's still dealing with the emotions of her parents' death because they've been murdered. She doesn't know why. There's no real conspiracy or cover-up. People are just out for themselves and killing one another all the time, and it really sucks. And she wants to know why, because she's convinced there has to be a reason. So she has her father's watch, and she ties it around her wrist, and she has her parents' wedding bands on a shoelace. And she's living on the streets, and she doesn't have her legs because, and I haven't worked out this detail yet, but she either wasn't born with them and she just has the prosthetics so she can move around, or they got chopped off when she was younger from like an accident in like a car or something. I haven't really ironed that out, but either way, she doesn't have legs, and she's very much scarred because she has had to go through things. But one thing that was a result of escaping when her parents were being killed is she's got a scar up on, like, I believe it is the left side of her face. I'm not very good with left and rights looking in that direction, but her eye is blinded and it's gray, and she has a bunch of cuts on that side of her face because I am no longer a coward and I will scar my characters. Because listen, scars on characters are fun to draw. It looks great. It's great. Just scar your characters at least once. See how you like it. Just do it. So now she's just on the run. Kyle is no longer her romantic interest, and her name's no longer Kiely, just like Kyle isn't his name either. But he is trying to kill her. I think it's more for personal reasons. She might have been in an accident or an event that might have accidentally led to someone in his family dying, or he might just have a grudge. I haven't really worked out much of the story, but a lot of it will be based more on relationships and how people get on day to day. There's this character that he didn't bring up or elaborate on before, but in the second draft, there was this character that basically became the bad guy, where they didn't have half of their face, and they were missing even more limbs, and they were really beaten up, and they were just basically the anti of Kiely. It was just, I had a huge problem with same face syndrome, where I would just draw the same face, and I didn't try to draw any other types of faces. So I decided for an excuse, I'll do that, but like, she's got like a mask on half of her face, and she's got all these like scars and stuff. That character is now in the story but reimagined, and is now a he, and is friends with her, and he would probably be like an adoptive brother to her, and it would focus a lot on their bond as they live on the streets and try to survive, and how they interact. Again, this is very loose. I haven't come up with much. I'll probably cover some of the weird backstory I had for the character initially when it was just a mess. But basically, that's about all I can really remember from these stories. There's probably a couple things I'm leaving out, but considering how I didn't write most of this down, and I'm probably rewriting it now to make it sound better unintentionally, I think this is the best we'll get for now. Thanks for watching, have a good day, and thanks!